Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for coming. This one will be quick and dirty because I haven't had sufficient coffee, but I did start working on this actually last night. In fact, a couple of days earlier, because something could happen and it could be a super interesting setup. And that is the addition of MicroStrategy to the QQQ, replacing the Moderna company. Anyhow, what I'm trying to do is figure out the price impact. How many shares are available? How many shares could be purchased per day? Etc. Is there a short squeeze potential? And how high could the price go? Thank you, the T, for coming. And thank you to everybody for being here and Mopbots and the whole gang. I'm not going to spend too much time because I have to do Octa later as well around noon. But let's jump into this. And of course, not financial advice. And a lot of warnings go along with this too. But this is my analysis of the price impact of the addition to the QQQ, which nobody is really talking about. But anyway, I am a MicroStrategy holder, have been since 2020. So let's get into it. First of all, by the way, I just have to mention too, I always say risk happens fast. You can see my face. Bitcoin has added $3,900 in the last 18 hours or so. Pretty insane. Risk happens fast. Tesla's at 412. MicroStrategy is also popping a little bit. These numbers, by the way, I worked on last night based on yesterday's numbers. I did not expect Bitcoin to pop $4,000, but this is about MicroStrategy. So let's get into it. First of all, their bag size. Let's talk about this for a second. In terms of the biggest treasury holders on the planet, MicroStrategy would now rank number 7 or so, maybe number 6, depending on GE. They have a $43 billion Bitcoin bag, $43 billion. And this guy, Michael Saylor, is not selling. Clear intention. Sometimes the markets need confidence in what they're investing in, okay? They don't want a speculator. They want somebody who will do what they say. And he's proven his word time and time again for 4 years. Thousands of hours on CNBS and many other channels, including mine. So let's get into where we are now. When he was like 4 weeks ago now at this stage, they announced their 21-21 plan, $21 billion of ATM, $21 billion of convertible debt. They are working their way through that pretty fast, especially the ATM side. They haven't done the convertible debt side, so there's still a lot more upside, a lot more ability to stack Bitcoin as we go forward. And apparently, this is what's really interesting, and this is from Chris, maybe the next convertible note will offer a negative interest rate. People will literally pay to get access to this thing that hasn't even been issued yet. Only $3 billion out of $21 billion. And over half of the ATM has already gone. That would be crazy. Now, I updated my Satoshis per share. Shared this on Patreon as well. Per share since inception, basically, it's a 7x. If you bought a share of MicroStrategy back in 2020, that share now has 7 times more Bitcoin attached to it than it did in 2020. This is what's fascinating. This is what they call the yield. I track this religiously and share it with you all. So keep an eye on that. Also, we're going to be talking about the QQQ today. Where does it stand if it happens? Again, not saying it will happen, but if it does, it could be added on 12/23. It's now 12/11. That's December 11th. So it could be another 12 days, perhaps. But the announcement could happen 12/13. Moderna, as I mentioned, is likely to get the boot. Shout out to Eric Polchunas. And this is likely a 0.47% weight. It's the 40th biggest holding in the QQQ, which is 100 companies. And they have $550 billion of ETFs tracking this index. This also includes amplified ETFs like 2x, 3x, QQQ, etc., both long and short. So they all have to stack this same puppy. What's going to happen? When are they going to start stacking? That's what I'm going to analyze right now. Also, let's look at who owns MicroStrategy, because you've got to look at the float, just like I do with the multiplier for calculating the impact of money flowing into Bitcoin. I do the same thing with stocks. So let's look at the top 25 shareholders. They own 44.38% of the company. And when you look at these top, say, call it nearly half, Michael Saylor's top of the list, nearly 10%. You got Capital Research and Management Company, 6.5%. You got Vanguard, you got BlackRock, you got Morgan Stanley, you got State Street, you got all these players. The firms that own this puppy have it in their funds, okay? And they haven't even begun to really allocate yet. Once the QQQ edition happens, they all have to add a lot more. Again, most of the money that goes into the markets is in passive funds. Let's look at some more of the shareholders. First of all, general public own 46.6%. This is people like me and the Patreon community. And we're kind of like, I wouldn't call us Bitcoin OGs, but we're Bitcoin fans. And we're very reluctant to sell Bitcoin. And therefore, maybe we're very reluctant to sell MicroStrategy too. Who knows? We shall see. Everybody has their price. But I'm holding, so let's go. And yeah, everything's pumping out there. It's a wild day in the markets. And I haven't even had all my coffee. Now, institutions. Let's have a look at these guys. 44.1% institutions. Individual investors, 9.29%. That's me in there. State or government, 0.0327. Again, a lot of institutions. They are not selling. A lot of the retail, they are not selling. A lot of the insiders, like Saylor, they are not selling. Okay, so it's going to be hard to prize out a lot of shares. Maybe. We could be wrong. Let's check in on the NAV premium too. NAV premium right now as we speak is the lowest since 2023. We're now at 2.2x. Proof of that is here. This is my ARB model that I have had since 2020. And you can see the two ways of calculating. It's now 2.2 approximately, give or take a little bit. They own 423,650 Bitcoin. And that's a big bag. That bag now is worth $43 billion. It's a little Austin Powers. I love doing that thing. I had to go look at the clip of the film. It's hilarious. Anyway, let's get into the numbers. And to be quick, this is the MicroStrategy price impact of QQQ inclusion. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have numbers. And warning, this is not financial advice. Bitcoin could go to zero tomorrow, okay? Therefore, MicroStrategy will go to zero as well. All investing has a risk, but you have to balance that risk and reward, all right? I'm just a guy on the internet. So this is my quick agenda is what I'm going to do is look at the assumptions for price, try calculate the daily inflow, share purchase, percentage of float purchased, base price impact, compound price increases over a couple of days, and short squeeze potential, and then the final impact on price. It's that simple. Everybody does this. First of all, quick recap of where we are with this puppy. Introduction to MicroStrategy addition to QQQ could have a 0.5% weighting. Okay, that would be $2 billion in buying pressure over a 3-day rebalancing period. They have to sell the Moderna, that's a good short by the way, and they have to buy MicroStrategy. And a 0.5% weighting in a major ETF like QQQ can have a huge impact. I've been watching this all my life. It has an impact. Remember, Tesla got added to the S&P 500 very late. By the way, MicroStrategy will probably get added to the S&P 500 too when those guys get off their hands. Let's look at what we're talking about here. The daily inflow calculation. Again, crude numbers. I assume 2 billion over 3 days have to be bought. That's about 666 million a day. Calculate divided by the number of shares at $382 is 1.745 million shares. How are they going to reach them, get them, access them? They should start stacking now. Who knows? And I took all of this, calculated the amount of float available, and calculated an impact on price. And that looks a little bit like this. This is, again, very crude, but I spell it all out so you can do it for yourself. I assumed a linear line of growth, the total impact of price over the 3 days, and of course it'll be compounded. And then I calculated the potential for a short squeeze. If you want to get into this slowly yourself, go check it out. But this is basically what I calculated last night. First day of stacking would take the MicroStrategy price to $395. Remember, at the time, it was $378 yesterday, $376, $373, depending on when you looked at it. It's already gone up, but this is assuming the actual price increase. Also, day 2 price increase, $409. So it adds another $15. And day 3, another $15 again. So it'll take us up to $423.47. But there's a kicker. There's a kicker on this. And by the way, I assumed the Bitcoin price would be constant for this. I didn't expect Bitcoin to hit 100,800 today. But that's just what happens sometimes in the marketplace. Crazy. This short squeeze is the kicker. And this, because a lot of hedge funds, etc., are short MicroStrategy. This could take us to $444, and I did not make that number up. That is the actual added kicker of a 5% afterburner on the price of MicroStrategy on top of the 423. And that's where we go. So the question is, could this happen? I do believe if MicroStrategy gets added to the QQQ, it could be a 15.86% addition to price, take us up to $444. So we'll get to see if I'm right. I tend to sandbag a lot of stuff. My bull target for MicroStrategy, by the way, is $120, and now it's nearly 400. Crazy times to be alive. Thank you all for coming. All of these videos are turned into Substacks, so you can listen to them again. There's a lot of material in every single one. I'll be back in a few hours with Okta, which is supposed to happen yesterday. But because Tesla hit $413 right now as we speak, it could be a new all-time high today. It's just so much happening. It's just crazy time. I think I could make videos 24 hours a day because there's so much content to share. Anyway, hope you like it. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes with me and the team. And hit the like if you like. And of course, subscribe. I'm thinking I should open up a MicroStrategy only playlist too. Let me know below if that's of interest, because you can see all my videos then from the very beginning, the first 3 in 2020, all the way to today. Fun times. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the mods in the chat if there is anybody here. And the Glenn Minimal is super excited. By the way, it's amazing to see all of the converts that we have made in the community here over the years. The hardcore, pure crypto folks have pivoted to stonks like MicroStrategy and QQQ and options. And that's the mission. That's how you make it work, everybody. Thanks all for coming. Love you all. 6,000 people watching live on a MicroStrategy only video. That must be a new record. It was 10,000 watching Tesla yesterday. So people are now waking up to the money. Thanks all. See you in a few hours.